All right, hello everybody. This is part 3 of our Montessori philosophy series. So much to say. I feel like these videos are just sort of touch on the basics, which is good for most people, but I think a lot of the philosophy will hopefully trickle out amongst a lot of the other videos on the channel. Um, this one, part 3, I wanted to talk about the intrinsic motivation of children. Um, so this is something that I hold dear to my heart, and love the idea of being able to share some thoughts about. Intrinsic meaning inside, and motivation, what motivates us. So people, let's not just say children, people tend to be intrinsically motivated and extrinsically motivated about different things, right? Some of us are super motivated about some things because it's intrinsic, it matters to us personally, and sometimes it's extrinsic. It's not something that's in our heart necessarily, but we get some sort of, often a reward of some sort because of it. So um, I live in America. A lot of Americans, and probably a lot of people in the world, generally work jobs that they get paid for, right? So we often need money to buy food and afford housing and that sort of thing. Totally understandable. But sometimes people are, sort of only motivated by their money. So their job, every day they go to their job and they think, well, I don't like my job. I don't like it. And when can I retire? Or how can I get out of this? Can I change careers? That sort of thing. Um, and that's okay to have those feelings, of course. But usually those people stay in the jobs because of money then, right? Money, unfortunately, guides a lot of those decisions for us. Um, and it's a reality. I'm not naive. I get it. It makes sense for a lot of people. But children, who also are motivated both ways and for lots of different reasons, we want to sort of encourage this idea and support this idea of intrinsic motivation. This is why Montessorians generally don't like the idea of any sort of rewards. Um, we don't give out trophies. We don't give out candy or treats and stuff just for children doing things at school. It's not because we're mean. It's not because we, you know, want to be harsh about school or something. It's exactly the opposite. It's actually a part of long-term parenting that I wish more people would take part in. It sends a message to children that, like, do things because you want to learn and you care about them yourself. Like, that should be ideally what's motivating you most of the time. I'm sure it's not all the time. So when a child does a work in the classroom, by the way, in Montessori we tend to call certain material, we call them works. When the child does a certain work, you hope that it's intrinsic, that they're feeling engaged in it, that they want to learn this, they would like to maybe do more with it or do an extension or some artwork or something because they're so engaged with it and they really want to do it. And it's not just getting through required work or getting something done or even showing their parents. It's not, it's fine to show parents things that we do, that's okay. But if their sole motivation is to show their parents, like, look what I did, you don't want too much of that. You want the child to feel good about what they're doing. So as a Montessorian, children often hear things from us that sounds a little different than other teachers because they'll say, look at my picture I did at the art table. And certainly some of the time we want to be genuine. So some of the time we say, great, cool, you did a nice job or whatever. But a lot of the time we really want to encourage them to think about their own feelings about it. So we might turn it back on them and say, well, what do you think of your artwork? Because what I think shouldn't matter that much, especially about art, but lots of things. what do you think? That's what matters. That's what matters the most. If you're just doing the artwork to get people to give you positive praise of some sort, then that's not an intrinsic motivator. So we want children to grow up believing in the passion of their learning and the things they're working on, for the goodness of it itself and for their own benefit and their own growth with their growth mindset. We don't want them to just get praise or one-up friends, or get money when they get older. There's some realities to all of that, but we want to, as much as we can, hang on to the idea that you can do things to just purely learn from them. One of the ways I think I find interesting in my classroom to look at that is at the end of the work cycle in the morning, we announce it's the end of work time. Let's get the classroom cleaned up. Generally, children try to do this pretty well. They don't always do it great, but they try. They want to clean up their classroom. That's part of the prepared and cared for environment. But some children will clean up something, and then they'll come up to me as the teacher, and they'll say, "Hey, look, Jacob, I cleaned that whole area." And then I might think in my head, well, I'm glad they did that. Great. I might even say that. But ultimately, I wish as they get older that they didn't need that praise and attention for doing it. I'd say a lot of them do, especially in the 6 to 9-year-old age group, but some of them don't. And it's fascinating to me to see and sort of study who it is that doesn't. I wish there was a long-term study on this because I like to see like who comes up and tells me what they did for cleanup and wanting praise. And then I'm watching everything, and I like to see who does an amazing job of cleanup and tells no one. And my theory is that those children will likely be the strongest with the intrinsic motivation as adults. I'm sure it doesn't work out that way every time, but every year I've got certain children who do not require a lot of praise or input from me. They do the right thing even if no one's watching. They'll pick up things even if they thought no one was there. They would do the right thing regardless of anything extrinsic. And that's what you want for children. It's a difficult thing to nurture, but you try to encourage that mentality with them. Ultimately, a child, of course, is going to have the personality that has been constructed at home. It's the parents who will be the ones guiding the difference between those things. But we can try to encourage it and support it at our school and educational settings the best we can. Because once they're intrinsically motivated, they tend to do much more amazing work and get more done. And my theory is those are the people that really make innovation and progress happen in the world. Getting philosophical. So there are a lot of books about this, a lot of information about this topic, so feel free to look into things, but that's kind of my quick take. Encouraging intrinsic motivation, not extrinsic motivation. Not needing to say good job about everything, wanting it to come from inside the child without need for praise or reward. Hope that makes some sense. Leave a comment if you want, if you have questions, and we'll try to get back to you, and we can kind of have a discussion about things going. Hope that's helpful. Really appreciate the support, encouragement with this channel. As long as there's some growing encouragement and support, we're going to keep going and see if we can build out a whole curriculum and a whole philosophy about learning and education. That's a big goal. Thanks for watching, everybody.